Hello, and welcome to this one-off special from Monza, Italy. We have an epic 13-lap battle between the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc and Anubis Jackal. So, 5 lights on, and we are go! And everybody seems to be getting away quite nicely. We have Charles Leclerc got the better start. It also looks like Max Verstappen's up there as well. Fortunately, Anubis managed to outbrake everybody into the first corner and retains the lead. But Charles Leclerc is coming back at him and passes him around into the first Lesbo and into the next corner. Anubis gets back ahead but goes too deep, a little bit wide. That's going to cost him, and once again Charles Leclerc takes the lead. We are hearing from the Sphinx pit crew that Anubis Jackal is having turbocharger issues, so he's losing a few horses. Unfortunately for him, that's not going to go very well on a high-speed track such as Monza. There is a lot of straight running at full throttle, and if he's down on power, he's going to struggle to catch the Ferrari. So, as we approach the Parabolica at the end of the first lap, the running order is Charles Leclerc in first place, being hotly pursued by Anubis Jackal, with Max Verstappen well in the hunt as well. Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez make up the top 6, with Carlos Sainz just passing Lando Norris into the first corner. And we're following the leaders at the moment and wondering whether Anubis Jackal in the yellow and black Sphinx car can catch the Ferrari. He seems to be just about keeping up. He's outside of the window for DRS at the moment. DRS isn't activated until the end of the next lap, so he needs to make up a little bit of time. If he's suffering from a turbocharger issue, he may need the DRS more than usual just to keep up and keep ahead of Carlos Sainz, who is dragging Max Verstappen, Lando Norris and Sergio Perez with him. As you can see there, they all are at the top of the screen there. They're all well within hunting range of these two, especially if one of them is having a problem. So, as you can see, we're coming round the Parabolica and Anubis is undercutting the corner there. He took a very tight line, managed to get ahead of Charles Leclerc there just for a few moments, but once we get onto the straight, you can see the power droppage. Luckily, it seems that Anubis is able to get onto the brakes just that little bit later than the Ferrari, and he's able to retake the lead into the first corner. But again, once we hit the straights, Charles is straight back at him and right on his gearbox. So I think at the moment the only thing saving Anubis from losing first place is the fact that he's able to brake that little bit later through the corners. He seems able to also hold a tighter line through the Parabolica and gain quite a few tenths there through that final corner. It's just through the twistier, the straighter sections where he's losing out to the Ferrari, and luckily enough, I think it is just enough to stay ahead. It could all change at the end of this lap though, when DRS becomes enabled, and Charles is just outside of the 1 second limit. There is the DRS line. DRS will now be enabled from this lap onwards. And can Charles Leclerc use the DRS to make the pass on Anubis. He will if Anubis keeps making slip-ups like that. Bit of a tank slapper there. He's lost a lot of time going through the curve here. Charles will get him on the straight now. It's all about the brakes. Can Anubis stay ahead? And he does. He had the inside line for the corner. He's managed to survive for a little while longer. We're coming into the next straight here with another DRS zone, and Charles is well within range, so he could very much be in the hunt here to be taking Anubis for the first place spot. And Anubis has gone wide once again. He is on the ragged limit, trying to keep that car ahead of the Ferrari. I think it's all for naught, because here comes Charles Leclerc now, entering into the Parabolica, and he takes the lead, but the brass balls on Anubis just hung onto the outside, kept his foot in, retook the lead, exiting Parabolica, but again with the ailing turbocharger cannot hold the speed into the first pit straight. Luckily enough, manages to hold on to it once again in the braking zone into corner 1 and retakes the lead once again. I've seen quite a few changes for the lead in a single race, but it seems to happen 2 or 3 times per lap so far. So into the chicane there, and Anubis is able to fend off Charles for just another few corners. After this, we've got another straight coming up with another DRS zone once again, and Charles is somewhat closer this time, so he may actually be able to make a lunge down the inside. No, not quite close enough just yet. This time round, Anubis does make the corner stick and is able to stay ahead, but the raw power of the Ferrari means that Charles can just power right past him into Parabolica, where it seems that the Sphinx car has more torque and more grip and is able to pull away. Charles has pitted, so Charles into the pits. Maybe he's going to be trying for the undercut. There he is, just entering his pit box now, and it's the mediums that are going on, and it was a relatively quick stop, not bad. It looks like at least half of the rest of the field are coming in as well for their stops. So we have a flurry of pit stops now. So back with the current leader, and Anubis now has a little bit of breathing space. It's Carlos Sainz behind him now, but he's a good 6.5 seconds back and is yet to make his stop as well. So we have about half the field have pitted and half the field have not. I expect the rest to come in on the next lap. So we're following Carlos Sainz here now. He's got Sergio Perez breathing down his neck, and they are going to be soon joined by Esteban Ocon, and he's catching them up at a fast race of knots at the moment. So down to the straights. Does the Red Bull have the legs on the Ferrari? Not quite. So into Parabolica, the Ferrari stays ahead, and they're both pitting, so they've both dived into the pits as well. We pick up with Charles Leclerc once again, kind of on his own at the moment, but things may heat up once Anubis Jackal and the rest of the field make their pit stops. So as Charles goes round through the chicane, nice and smooth, and into the Lesbo, and I thought for a second there I saw some damage on the front of his car, but no, it looks fine there. Everything seems to be going well for Charles Leclerc, as long as he can put in the laps now on these fresher tyres. He could undercut Anubis when he goes in for his pit stop, and be safely out in the lead with a break in the DRS. So we pick up here with a nice little battle, Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly. Max Verstappen going to the outside in the Parabolica. Can he make it stick around the outside? It looks like he's ahead, yes. Can he hold on to it? Gasly seems to be coming back at him, he's not giving up. We also have, who else do we have here? Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz both joining in with this. Carlos Sainz there lurking in the background with Lando Norris slowly creeping up to join them. So Max trying desperately to get past Gasly. He's obviously got the faster car. Gasly is placing his car very, very well just to keep the Red Bull behind him. I don't think it's going to be too long though before Max passes Pierre and moves up into the podium place. So he's all over the back of Gasly right now. Sainz just hanging back, watching all of this at the moment, waiting for an opportunity. And if that opportunity comes, he gets to jump a place, maybe two himself, and get himself up behind his teammate. And this looks like the opportunity. Max has dropped back from Gasly, and that was just what Carlos Sainz needed. And he's managed to get him in the chicane and get ahead on the run down to the Parabolica. Can he stay ahead though? The sheer brute force of that Red Bull just powers straight back past him, and into the pits comes Anubis, the race leader, into the pits now. So it's quite a slow pit stop. It's quite a long exit for the pit area. It's actually quite short in a way, but it feels very, very long. Charles Leclerc should be coming just up the road. There he is. So the undercut didn't work. Anubis has managed to make his pit stop and get out just ahead of the Ferrari, and he is now on the much faster, softer tyres as opposed to Charles Leclerc's much older medium tyres. So with any luck, combined with DRS if he needs it, and the outbraking and torque round Parabolica, maybe Anubis can just about hang on to the lead. Charles Leclerc is going to do all he can to see that that doesn't happen, and is hunting the Sphinx car down inch by inch, second by second, millisecond by millisecond. And we can see that the gap is visibly closing between the two. I don't think it will be too long before Charles is in a position to overtake the yellow and black Sphinx and take the lead, and it all then comes down to the tyres. As I mentioned, Anubis is on the fresher, softer tyres, and Charles is on the far older medium compound. It's about 0.7 of a second slower than the soft per lap, and the softs will go off a lot sooner. Charles Leclerc makes his move. He's got around the outside of Anubis there, and he seems to have made the move stick. He's through the chicane, he's ahead. He's got about half a second on Anubis now. Anubis just needs to stay within that 1 second window so that he can get the benefit of the DRS that's coming up. And he's right up alongside now. He's got the race in line. He could retake the lead here if he holds on to the line, makes a slightly later braking, and is back into the lead. So Anubis survives one more lap. We are 10 laps into the 13-lap race, so he just has to survive for 3 more laps. Can the tyres of Charles Leclerc hold out for at least one more attack? It looks like he's going for it now. He has the DRS down the straight. He breezes past Anubis back into position on the racing line. Anubis can't outbrake him at this point, and Charles Leclerc takes the lead once again and should be able now to just pull away from the Sphinx, and it should be race done for Ferrari and Charles Leclerc. Anubis hasn't given up. He's still trying. He is pushing as hard as he can at the moment. He's going to try and stay within the DRS zone. He's braking much too late. It looked like there was a slight touch there. He should get away with that. It was very gentle. And through the DRS zone, he's able to keep up with the Ferrari. He just needs to hang on. He's gone a bit wide once again. That shouldn't cost him too much. It will cost him a bit, but he should make that time back up in the Parabolica. If he can hang on for one more lap, he's just inside of the 1 second mark for the DRS, which again will aid him. But it's looking increasingly like Charles Leclerc has this race in the bag now. All he has to do is maintain the gap at least 1 second, which is just dropped under, and he will be the winner of the Monza Grand Prix, Ferrari's home track. So the Tifosi will be egging him on every inch of the way, but the young upstart is not about to give up that easily and is hanging on to the coattails of the Ferrari. He's now within DRS range, within the DRS zone. He might be able to outbrake Charles into the chicane. I don't think he's close enough just yet. If he bides his time and just hangs back here, he should be able to get him in Parabolica. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold it across the line. Now what he wants to do is slingshot around Charles Leclerc, just like he's doing here, around the outside, no less, and across the line. The line is very close to the exit of Parabolica, and he might just be able to stay ahead. He needs to do exactly that, what he's just done on that last lap, on this very last lap of the race. If he can just stay ahead through the exit of Parabolica, he should have just enough momentum to take the win from Charles Leclerc. But as I'm saying that, Charles Leclerc appears to be dropping back. He's down about half a second here. I'm wondering whether his tyres have given up the ghost. He's definitely not back on Anubis's trail. In fact, he's down over a second already. I think his tyres have said enough is enough. It was too hard racing for too long for those tyres, and Anubis, being on the much younger tyres, is able to pull away just enough to break the DRS activation area. And he only has the Parabolica to go now, and as long as he doesn't bin it on the last corner here, he will win the Monza Grand Prix of 2022, beating out Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. So a hard-fought race there, and a well-deserved victory, and an epic battle between the Sphinx and the Ferrari. Join us again some other time, and we will revisit another classic Formula 1 race. I have been Anubis, and I will see you all in the next video.